Under the brilliant golden lights of the grand ballroom at the esteemed Beaumont Hotel in central London, hundreds of guests gathered in their resplendent formalwear and glittering jewels. To the outside world, it might have seemed merely an engagement party for two young people, but to the two venerable houses of Johnson and Bauer, it signified far more: the launch of a powerful alliance, a union forged not only by affection but by global business interests. From the far end of the hall, dozens of camera lenses focused on Sofia Johnson, the youngest daughter of the financial titan Johnson Corporation. Her golden hair cascaded over her shoulders, her sky-blue eyes shone brightly, and a warm smile graced her lips as she glided down the aisle of honored guests. She wore a sapphire blue evening gown embroidered with crystalline beads, twinkling like a star-filled sky, elegant and refined, just like herself, intelligent, resolute, and full of vitality. On the opposite side of the ballroom, Alexander Bauer appeared in a perfectly tailored black tuxedo. Tall and poised, he exuded a composed, almost icy calm as amber-brown eyes scanned the crowd with meticulous appraisal. As the eldest son of Europe's premier real estate dynasty, the Bauer Group, Alexander had been groomed from childhood to inherit this vast empire. He was a man of principle and seriousness, always maintaining a measured distance from unnecessary personal emotion. When Sofia and Alexander stepped onto the engagement stage, thunderous applause broke out. Robert Johnson, chairman of Johnson Corporation and longtime business partner of the Bauer Group, raised his champagne flute and declared in his sonorous voice, "Let us congratulate this magnificent union. From now on, our two houses will achieve even greater breakthroughs together." Glasses clinked, crystal bells chimed in harmony with the piano's lilting notes. Yet if one looked closer, both protagonists still bore a hint of bashfulness. Sofia lowered her lashes, her gaze flickering between confidence and nervousness. Alexander offered a subtle smile, his expression softening momentarily as he looked at her, then swiftly reverting to his customary cool reserve. After the formal ceremony, the guests proceeded to the dinner tables. The hall was decorated in a neoclassical style, red velvet drapes combined with gilded accents, and towering white columns evoking an opera house. Sofia's friends swept her onto the dance floor, while Alexander drifted toward the symphony orchestra. In that glittering space, their eyes met by chance across the room. A slow waltz began. Sofia took a deep breath, then offered Alexander her hand in an appropriately demure smile. He inclined his head and accepted, leading her into the dance. Their steps flowed in time with the music, moving gracefully beneath the flickering candlelight. For those moments, the world seemed to shrink until only the two of them remained on the polished wooden floor. "Thank you for inviting me, Miss Johnson," Alexander's warm tenor voice murmured, his emphasis on you causing Sofia's cheeks to flush. "Please, call me Sofia," she replied, her smile brightening. He hesitated, then bowed his head. "Very well, Sofia." That simple moment made Sofia's heart beat faster. She had never imagined that such a principled, reserved man could soften at her small request. When the dance ended, they returned to the table. Laura Mendez, Sofia's closest friend and a PR specialist at Johnson Corporation, slipped her a glass of deep red wine and whispered, "Sofia, he's not so cold after all. Tonight I'll introduce you to his younger brother, he's rather fun." Sofia smoothed the folds of her gown and sighed. "Laura, he's a CEO. How easy do you think it will be to make friends with him?" Before Laura could reply, Alexander appeared at their table. He bowed politely to Mr. Johnson, then turned to Sofia. "Would you care for a walk in the garden? This room feels a bit stifling." Surprised, Sofia seized the opportunity. "Lead the way. I've been eager to see the garden for some time." Together they left the lively ballroom and walked down the marble-tiled corridor toward the classic English garden. Lanterns mounted along the walls cast a warm glow over the white gravel path. Roses and jasmine exhaled their sweet fragrance, mingling with the scent of rosemary and mint from the herb beds. In the hushed serenity, broken only by the rustle of leaves and their footsteps, Sofia spoke at last. "The Beaumont garden is flawless. But may I ask, why do you tolerate this arranged marriage?" A wry smile flickered across his lips. "Do you think I find it appealing? It's my family's decision. In business, I always follow the rules set for me." Sofia nodded thoughtfully. "My family struggled to accept it, too. They worried that linking with a European real estate dynasty would make Johnson Corporation appear too rigid. I fear we'll remain strangers forever." Alexander halted and met her gaze. "Perhaps we need a chance to understand each other better. As for interest, I only hope you won't regret saying yes today." He tilted his head, sincerity in his eyes. After a silent moment, Sofia replied quietly, "Do you know the saying, marry first, love later?" He stared at her, a faint smile curving his lips. "I've been operating by that principle." Sofia laughed softly as warmth bloomed in her chest. Under the still London sky, two young hearts dared to hope. Though their union began as duty, they would give their fledgling relationship, and their hearts, a chance. They returned to the ballroom as the melody resumed. Though the night air outside was cold, in their minds a spark had kindled. Behind him, white roses bloomed silently, witnesses to a most unconventional love story, one of marrying first and falling in love thereafter. A story of two people determined to overcome all bonds to find the genuine warmth of the heart. After their grand engagement in London, Sofia and Alexander returned to New York, the shared headquarters of Johnson Corporation and Bauer Group, which was preparing to inaugurate their joint office. Though the echoes of the engagement banquet still lingered in their minds, everything was about to turn a new page, from strangers to acquaintances, from formality to genuine understanding. They paused only in Paris for a one-night honeymoon. At dawn in their suite at the Ritz, soft sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the pristine white linens. On the small table by the window sat a vase of bright sunflowers, filling the air with a gentle perfume. Sofia awoke slowly, still drowsy, wrapped her silk robe about her, and gazed at the bustling Parisian street below. "Paris really is more beautiful than I imagined," she whispered. On the opposite bed, Alexander still slept. At her light shoulder shake he stirred, blinking at her flawless, serene face. He yawned, placed a hand on his forehead, then smiled. "Good morning, my wife." Sofia's eyes widened in mock indignation. You called me what?" "My wife," he repeated, his voice warm. That simple, unguarded moment, quiet and unpretentious, yet overflowing with emotion, marked the first time they truly shared space alone, without the trappings of a lavish celebration or curious onlookers. It was only Sofia, Alexander, and the romance of Paris. They enjoyed a light breakfast of croissants and café au lait, then strolled together in the Tuileries garden. Sofia told Alexander of childhood afternoons spent reading under an olive tree, while he shared his dream of building eco-friendly real estate projects. Beneath the verdant canopy, they discovered an unexpected kinship. But a rushed honeymoon could not last. By that afternoon they were on a plane back to New York to prepare for the grand opening of their joint office. 3 years earlier, Johnson Corporation and Bauer Group had negotiated many joint ventures, but never one of such magnitude. Their marriage signaled total mutual confidence. Instead of living apart, they had agreed to share a 250 square meters penthouse in the new Somerset Tower, Johnson Corporation's latest skyscraper. The penthouse featured 2 bedrooms, a shared study, an open kitchen, and a living room blending modern and classical elements: ash-gray leather sofas, white sheepskin rugs, sparkling crystal chandeliers, and floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Manhattan's skyline. From the 40th floor, they could see the Empire State Building, Central Park, and the glittering Hudson River. On moving-in day, an eager Sofia unpacked classic marketing tomes and stacked finance magazines on the shelves. Alexander, by contrast, carried in a single light suitcase, a few black and white suits and an IBM laptop. "You brought so little. Need any help?" Sofia teased. He replied coolly, "I did a careful inventory. You only need to bring the contract copies and the marketing plan." He gestured to the walnut desk. "This is where the work happens." "Does it have a name?" she asked. "It doesn't," he said, then walked away, leaving Sofia to wonder if she could warm this austere space. Determined, she bought a blooming orchid for the living room window and hung a pastoral Tuscan landscape painting she'd admired at the Uffizi. The next morning, Sofia brewed a pot of rose-scented Earl Grey tea and found Alexander in the study. The one small window framed a neighboring wall. His desk was immaculate, just a laptop, a phone, and a black leather notebook. She knocked softly. "Alexander, are you awake? I made tea for you." He looked up, tired but composed. "Thank you. I'm not used to rose tea." "I thought it might help you relax," she smiled, placing the cup on his desk. He stared at it, hesitated, then sipped. When the aroma reached him, he closed his eyes. "This is pleasant." That humble gesture filled Sofia with joy. She saw that beneath his rigidity, he could appreciate life's small comforts. The following day, Johnson Corporation held an internal briefing to unveil the joint office project. Alexander and Sofia co-hosted, flanked by Robert Johnson, chairman, and Ingrid Bauer, vice chair of investments. The conference room was state-of-the-art, a 15-meter oak table, leather chairs, a 70-inch LED screen, and subtle spotlighting on the presenters. Soft background music played as Alexander stood. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Alexander Bauer." He advanced, gesturing to the Somerset Tower renderings behind him. "This project is more than just office space, it represents a strategic alliance between our two corporations." His tone was earnest and authoritative. Sofia followed, poised and confident. "We will combine Johnson Corporation's financial expertise with the Bauer Group's real estate prowess to optimize cost and operational efficiency. Our marketing plan includes a grand opening event series, a 360 degrees media campaign, and a charity gala." She paused, eyes briefly meeting Alexander's. "I am honored to work alongside him." Alexander offered a subtle, supportive smile. The presentation concluded to enthusiastic applause and probing questions from partners. A few cautious investors raised concerns about the risks of a marriage-based alliance, but Robert Johnson and Ingrid Bauer swiftly allayed those fears, pledging to respect the couple's personal autonomy. That evening, Sofia invited Alexander to dinner at Il Teatro, an upscale Italian restaurant on Madison Avenue. She ordered truffle mushroom risotto and lamb chops. He chose spaghetti carbonara. When the dishes arrived, Sofia offered him a spoonful of risotto. "You should try it with truffle. You'll savor the creamy flavor." He nodded, took a generous bite, and chewed deliberately. "You really know how to indulge." Sofia blushed. "You're not so bad yourself." Their laughter mingled under the restaurant's warm golden lights, turning the meal into an unexpectedly romantic interlude. In the days that followed, their schedules overflowed with meetings, from architects to strategic partners to contract negotiations, yet each evening they carved out personal time in the penthouse. Sometimes they cooked hand-tossed pizza and balsamic-drizzled salads, other nights they snuggled on the sofa to watch classic Hollywood films. One Sunday evening, Alexander returned late after a shareholders' discussion about opening a London branch. He hastily removed his tie and found Sofia crouched by the orchid, trimming wilted blooms and replenishing orchid food. "You're home," she said, startled, then smiled. "I'm sorry. He sat beside her. "You've cared for these plants so well." He tenderly moistened a dry leaf droplet onto a bloom. Then he rested his arm on her knee and spoke earnestly. "Thank you for bringing a touch of color into my otherwise monotonous life." His deep eyes conveyed more warmth than any words. Sofia hesitated, then softly asked, "Do you remember my smile that night in London?" He gave a gentle grin. "I only smiled when I thought of working with you." He paused, then offered quietly, "Perhaps we can truly find common ground." They spent that night side by side beneath the soft lights, no longer CEO and marketing director, but two people learning each other's hearts. Not everything was smooth, of course. One morning Sofia accidentally sent a confidential marketing report to a wrong recipient. 20 minutes later Alexander received a message from an old contact. "Are you running a campaign in Los Angeles? I just got your report." He texted Sofia, "Who did you send this to?" She flushed, scrambled to apologize and delete the file. His one-word reply, a stern warning, made her heart sink. They barely spoke for the rest of the day. Even in the quiet penthouse every breath felt loud. That night, Alexander knocked on her door. "I called them back. They agreed to delete it, but I told them it was a company error, not yours." Tears welled in Sofia's eyes. "Thank you. You always have my back." He placed her hand on his chest. "Between us, I don't want titles or families to dictate everything." His tone was gentle, revealing the caring man she'd come to know beneath the business facade. Sofia pressed her face against him, finding at last the security she'd craved in this whirlwind life. In the days that followed, they learned to forgive and empathize. He shared stories of his childhood in Bavaria with his aunt. She opened up about her mother, a once formidable businesswoman. In each story they found reasons to cherish one another. Their marriage of convenience was becoming a marriage of the heart. As Sofia and Alexander settled into working and living together, their relationship faced tests not only from internal pressures but from forces outside: market volatility, shareholder scrutiny, and rival factions eager to disrupt their corporate alliance. 2 months after arriving in New York, the joint office project entered its final stages: interior fit-out, regulatory approvals, and launch preparations. To finalize local arrangements, Sofia and Alexander traveled once more to London to meet Holden and Smythe, the firm responsible for operations and maintenance. Arriving on a crisp autumn afternoon, they noted the chill was sharper than on their engagement day. After landing at Heathrow, their luggage whisked into a waiting limousine bound for Claridge's Hotel, where the important meeting would take place the next morning. Before the meeting, Alexander led Sofia on a stroll through Mayfair. He purchased a cashmere scarf in dove gray and draped it around her shoulders. Sofia was touched. "Are you always this considerate?" He merely smiled, a distant glint in his eyes. She sensed that beneath his reserve lay deep care, though he rarely showed it. The boardroom of Holden and Smythe occupied the 15th floor of 1 Brook Street, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Hyde Park. On the conference table lay operating manuals, service contracts, and floor plans. Gerald Smythe, CEO of Holden and Smythe, a salt and pepper veteran in his 60s, greeted them alongside Helena Smythe, his seasoned vice chair of operations. Tension mounted when Holden and Smythe presented more stringent terms than expected: service fees up by 15% and maintenance responsibilities amplified. "To ensure quality, we need these terms," Gerald snapped, emphasizing we as he turned to Sofia. "The charity gala is a fine idea, but we cannot absorb those costs for free." Alexander nodded, but Sofia interjected, "We understand your concerns. However, hosting the gala alongside our office launch will generate long-term publicity for both parties. I propose a 50-50 cost split." Gerald frowned. "How much are we talking?" Sofia advanced a detailed slide deck with charts and cost projections. Impressed by her thorough research, Helena leaned to Gerald and whispered, "These numbers are reasonable given the media exposure." After a moment's hesitation, he relented. "All right, but amend the contract. Our legal team will review." Relief washed over the room. Sofia and Alexander exchanged triumphant looks, proof of their teamwork. Yet beyond the conference room lurked a hidden adversary, Simon Richards, once Alexander's close friend and a former Bauer Group executive passed over for succession, now CEO of rival Riverton Properties. In collusion with an American hedge fund, he sought to manipulate share prices and sow doubt among investors by leaking rumors about the arranged marriage. Anonymous emails circulated to select investors. "How long can this marriage last? Will Sofia truly commit to our business goals?" A leaked memo on internal LinkedIn spread like wildfire. Sofia discovered the post while checking Twitter. Worried, she sent it to Alexander. "Look at this." His expression hardened. "Simon. He's stirring trouble again." He immediately phoned Johnson Corporation's investor relations. Hours later, an official statement was released. Their marriage was wholly voluntary, designed solely to solidify a strategic partnership, with no impact on operations. They announced a press gala at Claridge's and invited major outlets, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, to cover the alliance. That evening, Claridge's glittered with gold accents, emerald velvet chairs, and suspended florals. A jazz quartet performed softly. Sofia wore an ivory evening gown and pearl earrings. Alexander appeared in a tuxedo they'd chosen together. Flashbulbs popped as they mounted the stage. Robert Johnson spoke first. "We take pride in this milestone. It is not merely a union of two families but a marriage of vision and expertise." He toasted with champagne. Alexander then addressed the crowd. "Sofia and I are not just business partners by marriage, we are friends and allies. We pledge to support and trust each other fully." He looked at Sofia with warmth, and she returned his smile. The press captured tender moments, his hand at her waist, her head leaning on his shoulder. The next day's headlines uniformly proclaimed, "Love blossoms in arranged union, a sweet tale at Claridge's gala." Back in their New York penthouse after the long trip, Sofia and Alexander relaxed on the balcony, the ever-vibrant city lights stretching before them. "Are you tired?" Sofia asked softly. He sighed contentedly. "Work is never-ending, but with you by my side, I feel invincible." She nestled into him. "I'll always be here, through every storm." Though they began this marriage out of duty, their bond had grown genuine. Rumors might swirl and enemies may strike, but Sofia and Alexander knew, with trust and shared purpose, they could weather any tempest. The penthouse in early rainy season felt gloomier than usual. After a demanding London trip, Sofia and Alexander returned laden not only with contracts and financial figures but with the elation of their press gala. They plunged immediately into finalizing their Manhattan branch opening. Yet as work pressures mounted and schedules tightened, small misunderstandings began to crack their harmony. On Wednesday morning, fresh from her penthouse gym workout, Sofia received an email from Forbes North America. Veteran editor Elise Martin wanted an exclusive interview with Alexander for Leaders to Watch, scheduled at noon the same day in Midtown. Torn between excitement and worry over possible leaks, Sofia felt both duty and personal concern as his wife and PR manager. She found Alexander in a Zoom call with Japanese partners, his brows knitted in concentration. When he hung up, she asked softly, "Elise Martin wants to interview you today. Would you like me to attend?" He paused, then said with a half-smile, "She interviewed me 3 years ago, showered me with praise, made my mother proud. What do you think?" Sofia squeezed his hand. "If you agree, we should prepare thoroughly, anticipate questions, plan camera angles, maybe I can manage PR backstage. He nodded. Okay, let's do it together. They drafted question outlines and chose outfits, he in a navy tuxedo with white shirt, she in a polished, professional dress. Forbes's Midtown office was sleek in black and white. Elise Martin greeted them in a black blazer, hair in a neat bun, signature glasses perched on her nose. Alexander, great to see you again, she said, shaking his hand before glancing at Sofia. You must be Sofia. With a polite smile, Sofia introduced herself as his PR manager and asked to sit in on the interview. After a brief hesitation, Elise agreed. Behind cameras and mics, Elise began, can you share the nexus between your marriage and your business partnership? I believe this union is built on mutual respect and trust, Alexander answered. Marrying Sofia was not just family duty, it's an opportunity for two individuals to collaborate on major projects. Elise turned to Sofia, how have you supported him through this alliance? Sofia replied confidently, I oversee content strategy and a 360 degrees communications plan to ensure the message of our family partnership is conveyed artfully and professionally. The interview ran nearly an hour. As the cameras stopped rolling, Elise leaned in and whispered to Sofia, I've heard some rumors about your husband and a female partner in London. Think they're baseless. Sofia's heart lurched. Rumors? She pressed her lips together, refusing to react publicly. Once Elise departed, Sofia summoned her assistant to review Alexander's recent messages. She discovered only professional exchanges with Emily Rhodes, project-related notes. Still, Elise's insinuations planted a seed of doubt. On the drive home, Sofia sat in silence as raindrops streaked the window. Doubt gnawed at her. Did Alexander truly regard Emily only as a colleague? Inside, Alexander's text arrived, we need to talk tonight. He had agreed to an 8 p.m. meeting. That evening, Sofia waited anxiously in the living room as global markets fluctuated on her laptop. At precisely 8, Alexander entered, briefcase in hand. You saw the messages? He asked quietly. Sofia looked up, tears welling. I heard what Elise said. I'm afraid you're more open with her than with me. He drew her close. I'm sorry you felt that way. Emily was a former logistics partner in London, nothing more. Sofia trembled in his arms. I'm afraid of losing you. He stroked her hair. You will never lose me. I'm sorry I let you feel alone. The next day in the Johnson offices, Laura teased Sofia, you should have invited me to the Forbes shoot for some glamorous PR coverage. Sofia offered a small smile. It was awkward. Elise brought up rumors. But Alexander reassured me afterward. Laura patted her shoulder. Alexander values you. Sometimes men don't show affection directly, but his actions speak for him. You should express your feelings more, don't let rumors shake you. Determined, Sofia replied, tonight I'll ask Alexander to include me on any work-related emails so I never feel left out. That evening, over a candlelit dinner, Sofia took the lead. Could you please CC me on project emails? I just want to feel involved, not to control you. Alexander looked thoughtful, then smiled. You are very perceptive. I will do that, and more, I'll carve out time so you know you're always my priority. Sofia beamed. He rose behind her and embraced her from behind. I love you, Sofia Johnson. Whatever challenges come, I choose you. In that moment, the rain against the window sounded like applause for their newfound understanding, proof that empathy and communication could heal even the slightest cracks. After their heartfelt reconciliation, Sofia and Alexander believed they could face anything together. But new pressures arose, from their own families. Doubts surfaced, and even talk of annulling their marriage alliance threatened both their personal happiness and corporate ties. One Monday morning, Sofia answered a frantic doorbell to find Margaret, Robert Johnson's stern secretary. "Miss Sofia, I apologize for the interruption. On behalf of Mr. Johnson, you're requested at today's Johnson Family Council at the Westchester estate. Mr. Bauer has been summoned similarly." Holding back panic, Sofia replied, "Thank you. I'll arrive at 3 this afternoon." As Margaret departed, the penthouse felt suddenly hollow. Sofia gazed at the orchid by the window, bracing herself for the looming family trial. The sprawling Johnson estate in Westchester was lush with gardens. Waiting at the front steps were Robert Johnson and Elaine Johnson, Sofia's mother, whose usual warmth had turned steely. "Sofia," Robert began, "today we discuss the future of this alliance. Shareholders are questioning the ROI and risk of tying our companies to a marriage." Elaine added sharply, "Your marriage may harm Johnson's reputation if it fails. If events don't unfold smoothly, we must protect the family legacy." Sofia swallowed her anger. "Mother, I understand your concerns. Alexander and I work seamlessly, our London branch nears completion. I believe the results will exceed expectations." Elaine's eyes narrowed. "Are you sure this isn't mere infatuation? If this marriage collapses, both families lose big." Sofia's voice was steady. "I assure you, Alexander and I will make sure it doesn't happen." Robert interjected, "Very well. We'll grant 1 more month. If you fail to achieve a 12% ROI in that time, we'll reconsider the marriage contract." Sofia nodded, though 12% was an ambitious target. She began plotting an accelerated media push and sought co-sponsors to offset costs. Simultaneously, in Munich at the Bauer villa, Alexander faced his own family tribunal. Heinrich Bauer, honorary chairman, and Margareta Bauer, his mother, stood before a global project map. "Alexander," Heinrich said grimly, "our Manchester and Tokyo ventures are underperforming. What does this marital alliance bring Bauer Group beyond prestige?" Margareta pressed, "I appreciate sentiment, but our company carries significant debt. If this alliance doesn't yield clear economic benefit, you must end it." Alexander felt his heart wrench, yet he remained composed. "Father, Mother, our Manhattan and London offices are on track. I will present a full report this weekend." Heinrich nodded. "You have 10 days. If you do not deliver, we have grounds to dissolve the marriage agreement." He returned to New York under a cloud of urgency. Sofia and Alexander immediately convened an emergency strategy meeting. Sofia proposed the Open Doors campaign, VIP previews of sample offices in Manhattan, London, and Singapore, complete with charity mini-concerts and pop-up exhibitions. Alexander agreed. "If you can draw 5,000 VIPs per region and boost service sign-ups by 20%, I'm all in. I'll engage Bauer's Asian PR team to expand our reach." They divided responsibilities. Sofia led London and Manhattan with Laura and the PR team. Alexander handled Asia's logistics and finance. Day after day, they worked late into the night. The Manhattan event exceeded expectations, 6,300 VIP registrations and a 25% revenue increase, landing front-page coverage in leading business newspapers. As London's launch neared, Storm Katarina battered England with gale-force winds and flooding. Undeterred, Sofia and Alexander arrived in armored transport at Whitechapel Gallery, their temporary showroom. Sofia fretted over dwindling foot traffic. Alexander placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've set up interactive live streams and VR tours. Even if guests can't arrive in person, they can experience it virtually. Trust our plan." Inside, media crews rigged a mini-studio, streamed live presentations, and invited expert speakers online. Despite the storm, live viewership soared to 15,000, attracting new international partners. Journalists praised the duo's resilience and ingenuity, while images of them in raincoats, broadcasting amid floods, became emblematic of their dedication. Preliminary metrics showed a 15% ROI, surpassing the 12% goal. Shareholders on both sides phoned to congratulate them. At the next joint board meeting, Robert Johnson and Heinrich Bauer announced, "Based on the success of Open Doors, our families agree to extend the marriage alliance for another year and to expand investments in Asia and Europe." Sofia and Alexander stood hand in hand as applause erupted. Watching their success, Robert beamed with pride. Later, on the penthouse balcony, the New York skyline sparkled beneath them. Sofia turned to Alexander. "You proved me right." He wrapped her in his arms. "And you proved that united, nothing can shake us." She looked up at him. "Shall we celebrate our first wedding anniversary in style?" He smiled, eyes shining. "We started with marry first, love later. Now it's love forever. I'm ready for the anniversary party whenever you are." Sofia laughed, and under the city lights, they shared a passionate kiss, an affirmation that duty had blossomed into enduring love. 1 year after their London engagement, and their wedding, their first anniversary celebration approached. Having weathered market upheavals, Storm Katerina, and personal misunderstandings, Sofia and Alexander's love had grown deeper than ever. Their penthouse was transformed, golden fairy lights draped around the windows, the dining table swathed in ivory silk, and vibrant red roses blooming at every place setting. Sofia personally selected each bloom, while Alexander arranged framed photographs of their year together, live streaming in the London flood, the London office ribbon cutting, and their Claridge's gala embrace. Guests included close friends and strategic partners, Laura Mendez, the Johnson and Bauer families, and loyal investors. A familiar jazz band set a nostalgic mood. Sofia entered in a ruby-red ball gown with her hair in a low chignon, revealing diamond drop earrings. Alexander wore a slate-gray patterned suit, white shirt, and a deep crimson tie, perfectly matching her dress. Once everyone was seated, Sofia took the microphone. "A year ago today, our journey began. I want to thank both families, our trusted partners, and especially you, Alexander. You've stood by me through it all." She smiled radiantly. Alexander raised his champagne flute. "To Sofia and to everyone here, you've witnessed our joy and supported us through every storm. Here's to our love and our partnership, growing ever stronger." Glasses clinked and warm smiles filled the room. Midway through the evening, the lights dimmed and a soft piano melody began. Laura guided Sofia to the center of the room, where Alexander knelt on the scarlet carpet holding a small wooden box. "Sofia Johnson," he said, his voice steady, "you gave me faith in love and the meaning of family. I know you dream of being a mother. Will you join me in welcoming a new member to our family?" He opened the box to reveal a pear-shaped diamond ring engraved with Mama on one side and their initials on the other. Tears sprang to Sofia's eyes. "You want me to be a mother?" He smiled gently. "And the best mother you can be." The room erupted in cheers as she nodded, and he kissed her deeply. Later, as the last guests departed, Sofia and Alexander stood beneath the soft lighting. She pulled out a small ultrasound photo. "Surprise, I'm already 12 weeks along." His face lit up. "The greatest gift. You and our child are my inspiration." He wrapped her in a warm embrace. That spring, their joint office project delivered record profits. Sofia temporarily stepped back from daily work to focus on her pregnancy, while Alexander frequently visited with fresh flowers and her favorite treats. One afternoon, they strolled Central Park with Chance, the golden doodle puppy they'd adopted. Sofia asked Alexander to snap a photo. She cradled her round belly, her smile radiant. He looked at her, kissed her forehead, and whispered, Thank you for bringing this family into my life." She placed her hand on his arm. Marrying first and loving later has become loving forever. Under autumn's golden canopy, they walked hand in hand toward new chapters, parenthood, continued partnership, and a love that had overcome every bound. With the joy of impending parenthood and a landmark project behind them, Sofia and Alexander entered a new phase, preparing for parenthood while confronting personal challenges. One crisp winter morning, Sofia sat in the nursery rocking chair, her hand gently swaying the cradle. The room was painted a soft mint, trimmed in white lace, and furnished with a plush rug. On the bookshelf sat parenting guides in English and German and a collection of Grimm's fairy tales. Alexander entered with a bag of newborn essentials they'd sourced in Paris and Munich. "I found some cashmere bodysuits in cream, the perfect keepsake." He gently pulled out a tiny knit suit embroidered with Leo. Sofia's eyes widened. "Will it fit?" He placed the bag down and picked up the suit. "What do you think of the name Leo Alexander?" She smiled, resting a hand on her belly. "Strong and warm. Whenever baby kicks, it reminds me there's a little life in there." Alexander rested his hand atop hers. "And I will strive to be the best father." Beneath their happiness lay worry. Sofia, determined to give her child the best start, had adopted an overly strict diet and exercise regimen, growing visibly thin. Concerned, Alexander gently intervened. "You need balanced nutrition for both you and the baby. Let me prepare some protein-rich meals." Sofia hesitated. "I just want our child to be healthy." He softened but stood firm. "I want you healthy, too." After a few tense exchanges, Sofia relented, and Alexander ensured she ate well. At the same time, a figure from Alexander's past resurfaced, Emily Rhodes, his former London collaborator now director of project development in New York. Emily invited him to a sustainability conference at MIT. He declined, but her repeated pleas gave him pause. Was advancing his career worth risking family time? He asked Sofia, "Do you think I should go?" She studied him. "If it's important for your work, go. Just don't neglect us." He agreed to attend for one day only, then return. At MIT's Media Lab, Emily introduced him to Dr. Marcus Lee, who was developing solar-powered smart glass for buildings. Alexander engaged passionately, and Emily then asked over coffee in Harvard Square. "You and Sofia seem happy. But do you ever regret choosing family over career?" He stopped, serious. "No. I chose a future with Sofia. Work is important, but family gives my life meaning." Emily nodded quietly. On his flight home, Alexander couldn't wait to return to Sofia. He burst through their door and announced, "Great news, MIT wants to partner on our next green building project." Sofia danced with joy. Together, they drafted the next phase, a fusion of cutting-edge sustainability and heartfelt storytelling, what they called the future of work and home. Under the penthouse's warm lights, they kissed and looked forward to a bright tomorrow, a thriving career, a loving marriage, and soon, a newborn son. Spring, 5 years after their first engagement, brought the happiest moment of Sofia and Alexander's lives, the birth of their angel. This final chapter closes their story of marrying first and loving later, and opens a new era for the Johnson-Bauer family. In the early dawn at their Manhattan penthouse, Sofia awoke for the last time before going into labor. Alexander stood ready by the door, a limousine idled outside, their hospital bag packed neatly on the table. "Ready?" he asked. Sofia smiled through her exhaustion. "Let's go meet our son." They shared a quick kiss before boarding the car. Soft classical music played as Sofia stared out at New York's awakening skyline. At St. Luke's Hospital on Amsterdam Avenue, The delivery suite on the 8th floor offered a serene, modern ambience, pale pastels, adjustable lighting, and a neonatal nook beside the bed. Sofia was guided into a private room. Although contractions intensified, Alexander never left her side. He held her hand, offered sips of water, and whispered encouragement. At 10:15 a.m., a newborn's first cry pierced the air. "He's here," Sofia whispered, tears in her eyes. The doctor presented a healthy boy, 3.2 kilograms, to Alexander. "Congratulations. Meet your son." Alexander cradled him gently. "Welcome, Leo Alexander Bauer." He gazed at Sofia, overwhelmed. After 2 days in the VIP maternity wing, the new family returned home with baby gear and joy. On the drive back through Central Park, Alexander stopped the car so Sofia could catch her breath. "Leo, welcome to this world," he said softly. "Our home will be your safe haven." At their penthouse, they settled the cradle in the nursery. Sofia undressed and dressed him carefully, while Alexander arranged a plush bear beside the sweet-smelling bassinet. He then placed their first sonogram photo in a frame on the shelf. Sofia embraced him tearfully. "Thank you for everything." Their routine resumed quickly. 1 week later, Alexander chaired a video meeting launching Phase 2 of their Green Office project with MIT. Sofia joined briefly between feedings, offering PR insights. "Let's emphasize sustainability for future generations, like our little Leo." After the call, Alexander whispered over chat, "Thank you. Next meeting at the penthouse, family is welcome." Sofia responded with a heart emoji. In the months that followed, Phase 2 debuted to acclaim, garnering top ESG awards and elevating both brands. Sofia launched a thought leadership series on work-family balance. Alexander toured international forums with his wife and newborn in tow. One cozy evening, the three of them, Sofia, Alexander, and baby Leo, relaxed in the living room. Chance, their golden doodle, snored at their feet. Sofia laid her head on Alexander's shoulder. "We've come so far," she murmured. He kissed her temple. "And the best chapters are still ahead. We learned that love may come later, but it lasts forever." As New York's lights shimmered outside, their little family drifted into peaceful dreams, ready to write the next pages of a love born of duty, destined for eternity.